What are you doing? Hi, people.
Do you mind if I start? Hello. Well, I'm out of practice. Hi, I am Astrid. I am Wattle and Wool. You can find me here on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram as Wattle and .wool. And if you are brand new here, welcome. And if you are finding me again after about a year, welcome back. Kind of to everyone, me and you. So I am Australian. I live in Perth, Western Australia, and I am a high school teacher. I've knit for now 13 years, and I design some pieces as well, and I sell those on Ravelry under Wattle and Wool. And I like to come in here and chat about what I'm knitting. So it's been a while. I actually moved overseas for a year in a very big adventure. So I am half Latvian, my father is Latvian, and I moved to Latvia to use my European citizenship. And I lived in Latvia for 5 months, and I kind of used that as home base to travel around and go to different countries. And then, je parle français, I speak French. So I moved to Paris, and I was working in Paris for a while. And yeah, I spent about 7 months in Paris. And then I realised I was really homesick and I came back home to Australia. So it is August 25th today, and I've been back in Australia for about 4 months, but it kind of took me a minute to kind of be ready to re-engage, I guess. Yeah, so it's been a bit of a journey, but I'm back, I'm here, I'm alive, and it's really nice to be knitting again. So I'm kind of just holding my knitting. I thought I would talk to you about what I'm currently knitting. I do have some things kind of around me about what I have knit. I do want to do like a proper whole thing on what I knit in Paris or while I was overseas. I have lost a jacket that I knit in Latvia, which I'm really sad about because it was a really cool pattern. So I have to find that again. I think it's lost in Europe, which is a bit sad. So I'll do, maybe another day, I'll do a story about what I made while I was in Europe. I would love to show you the yarns that I bought. However, when I came home, I moved house and I just put them all up into my yarn pile, my yarn stash. So now I don't exactly remember which ones were from Europe and which ones weren't. And to save me going through the thousands of dollars of yarn stash that I have, I figured if I make something using yarn that I bought while away, I will simply tell you then, instead of me going on this massive yarn haul that I don't quite remember. So what am I making at the moment? Oh, I should say as well, as an Australian, I would like to acknowledge the traditional members of the land on which I stand, the Whadjuk Noongar people, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. So what am I knitting? I'm currently working on a design. Okay, so I'm currently working on a design. These are some advents that I got over 2 years. So these are all by Olivia and Oliver Fibres, and it is her Wanderlust series. She did it for 2 years and I was completely obsessed, and I got them. I put them into rainbow order. So this is where I'm up to the next one, and it will end on this absolutely gorgeous emerald green. So I have 40, it wasn't quite 48. I think I used a few for socks. I think it's 45. I think I've got 45 of them. And I really wanted to do something using all of them. I wanted it to be a really nice project where I could use all of them together, and because it's in that beautiful rainbow color order, and it kind of tells a story about, you know, around the world and adventure. I really wanted to have something that would use them all to the best of their ability, and I just thought they were absolutely stunning. So I was trying to think about what I could use them in that would be effective, I guess. That would be something that would really stand out. That would be maybe a talking piece or a statement piece in my place. Maybe it could be something that I would wear, or it would be something that I would have in my house, and something that would, I guess, be an adventure, because it's about around the world. Like, each of the different mini skeins are about a different place, and then there's little pieces of information that come with each mini skein. Good Lord. Little bits of information that come with each mini skein, and they talk about the different parts of the city that the mini skein has taken inspiration from. And I just loved it. I thought it was such a cool idea, and I really wanted to be able to kind of use it in a way that would show it off. And so I was thinking for a really long time, maybe I'll do a blanket. Now, I have never made a blanket like this before. I've made 2 blankets before, and they were very bulky yarn. One of them my ex-boyfriend actually still has, because I made it for him, which I love that he still has it. And the other one of my students actually took it when I left work last year. And look, you're not meant to have favourite students, but you do have people that, I guess, touch your life a bit stronger than others. And so she was one of those, and so she still has that blanket, which is hilarious. And so, yeah, so both of my blankets I made, but they were very bulky, and they're now gone. And I was toying with the idea of making another blanket and how I would make it. Would I make it scrappy? Would I make it crochet, which I can't do? What was the method that I would do? And I had previously bought some fairly neutral, like undyed skeins from an Australian yarn store, but they'd spun their own yarn. So it was they do spinning, and they do roll eggs, and they do like natural fibres. So it's not just undyed yarn. It's like Australian spun, Australian made, hand dyed kind of thing. Not hand dyed, but you know what I mean. And so I really love the idea of using this neutral undyed yarn as a plain base, and it being Australian as well, it being a really neutral plain base, to then launch the other colours off. And because this is neutral and undyed, everything else gets a chance to sing and pop on its own, instead of it being maybe all 45 colours together, and then they would clash with each other and they would touch each other, and I just didn't want that. So I've started making a blanket, and it looks, I probably shouldn't have started knitting on this one. So each of these are pleats. So I've cast on, and just in garter stitch, I knit across. Excuse me, I'm recovering from a cold. So I just cast on an amount, and in garter stitch, I just knit across and across and across. And then when I get to the pleat, I start knitting in stockinette. And then on the first round of return to the garter stitch, I knit the stockinette together. So join purl sides on the wrong side, and I knit them together. So it makes this really cool pleat. So I'm really obsessed with it. I'm completely obsessed with the colours, and I just think it's so pretty. I have figured out that it will take me roughly 818 rows to do the whole blanket. So if I go there and back as a row. And I've set myself a challenge to try and do this within 6 months. So that means I need to knit more than 2 rows every day. So to help me do that, I've printed off a chart. It's got nothing on it. It's literally just a chart with 818 boxes. And I'm going to start calculating what I've done and like colouring in each square so that I know where I'm up to. And I'm really excited for this. The goal, I mean, look, it is end of August. So September, October, November, December. That's 4 months. I guess the goal is to be able to do it by the end of the year. I won't realistically, but that would be lovely if I could. So every now and again, I do sit there and I just work on it all night. So I get, 10 rows in instead of 2. So maybe incrementally I can get it faster. But the goal is that every single day I come home and I sit and I knit on this one and I just make it work. So this has been my everyday knitting. And I just think it's so pretty. And yeah, it's really easy because it's either all garter stitch or it's stockinette, which, okay, for people who don't like purling, that is annoying. But it's so simple to do and it's really fun. So this is my first kind of long-term project. And yeah, I'm completely obsessed with it. So that's my blanket, yet unnamed. But we'll come into something, we'll figure it out. The next thing that I'm working on is another advent calendar shawl. And this one I started when I was in Paris. So this is not actually an advent, this is a mini shawl. And it's called the Adventurer. So I guess I wanted to put in advent into it. It's called the Adventurer shawl. And I made it while in Paris. I cast it on while in Paris. I was buying minis from Loom in England. And I thought I signed up for like 3 months, but apparently I signed up for quite a few. And they just kept coming, which is awesome. And I'm very happy that they kept coming. But then I had to think about what I was going to do with them because I had no idea. So I went through loads and loads and loads of ideas and I finally decided I would start a shawl. And I think I've got 26 of them, 26 different colours. And so I just cast on, and at first I didn't know what I was going to do, but I decided to merge a mohair that has some stellina in it with the Loom minis. So I'll show you the rest of the Loom mini so you can see the colour order that we're going into. Again, I feel like I'm quite obsessed with this tonal rainbow, I guess. So you can see where we're moving into. I don't have many left, which is really exciting. And I've got 3 mohair cones. So I bought these in Paris at Le Droguerie, which I found out was 15 minutes away from my house, which is probably a dangerous knowledge. Same as that, and Lil Weasel was 20-minute walk from my house, so it was a bit dangerous. So this is a mohair stellina cone. It's called Voilette, and it is 300 meters, and it's 2/3 superfine mohair and then 1/3 like stellina. So it makes this really cool sparkle. I actually had another colour to go in the middle of where I'm at, and I had a white mohair instead of this brown, but I lost it somewhere. I think I lost it in Brisbane when I went there to graduate my master's, which is super exciting. So now I'm a master. So I went there and graduated my master's, and somewhere in the trip to Brisbane, I lost one of the cones and I lost another colour, which is a bit devastating, but I'm basically at the halfway point now. So let me show you what I'm up to. So it started at this white, and then it goes up, 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 up. Can't see. There we go. So I started with twisted rib stitch with the mohair, and like, do you see what I mean about the sparkle? Like, I don't know if you can see it properly, but it's this glorious sparkle, and the twisted rib makes it so squishy, and the mohair makes it so delightful. It's absolutely lovely. It's really warm as well, so it's winter right now, and I love knitting with it on my lap, and I just kind of, I get a bit annoyed when I have to turn it over, but it's now at that really nice long stage where it's really comfortable, and it's really wide. So it's a good kind of wrap width. So let's start with this twisted rib, if you can see that. Good, yes. And then it goes into this open and close pattern. So there's triangles. So you can see it opens here and then it closes again there. Or close and open, however you want to call it. And I just thought they offered this really cool action, I guess, in the shawl. I didn't want it to all be boring twisted rib. I wanted it to have some movement. So this, excuse me, I'm now up to, I've just joined the dark mohair and literally the halfway through the very last row that I've just done. And then I'm about to join this dark ball. The problem with these Loom minis is that they're not necessarily made together. They're not made, to all complement each other. Because it's the same dyer, it's definitely the same tonal palette, which I love. And I do think this is really cool. Like I said, it's like a tonal rainbow. So I think it's amazing. The problem is that when I'm knitting on it, because I'm paying so much close attention, I really see each colour striping. But I think I forget that when I hold this up, it doesn't look as bitsy as it feels when I'm knitting it. So I think overall it's an amazing look, but it feels a little bit bitsy when I'm making it, which is frustrating. So this is usually next to my bed, and this is my in-bed knitting, because everyone knows we've got to have different knitting for different areas. And yeah, so I'm writing this one up. So this is the Adventurer shawl, even though it's not actually an advent, but that's what it is now. I will have this written very, very, very soon. I am historically terrible at tech editing and getting things done on time. Like historically, absolutely terrible. So, and I'm very ambitious and I like to say I will do all these things and then I forget to do them. There's a few things coming up. There is my blanket. There is this Adventurer shawl. There's the 2 previous advents that I've made. So one of them was with Stitchcraft and Wizardry. That was the first year. I think that was 2020. And I made that one. And then 2021, I made a variation of it with Woolen Works Advent. And then 2022, I didn't do that. 2023, I was in Europe when I started this one. And so I kind of have a few of different Advent shawls. I've got one more. So I'm kind of thinking Advent shawls / blankets. I'm kind of thinking what I might do is and I'm about to show you the next one. What I might do is I will write them all up, and if you have a bunch of minis, I'm literally looking over in my corner and I have so many minis just lying there. I've got a couple of advents that are lying there. If you have maybe a collection of minis or a collection of advents, I probably need 20 gram skeins for all of them. And ideally 24 would work, but it doesn't have to be. If you've got a pile of minis that you would like to do the blanket with, let me know and I will really happily add you to like a year-long test knit next year. So next year is going to be kind of like the year of just knitting the advents with me on my patterns, if you would like. So it's going to be the cruisiest ever. But I kind of love some expressions of interest if anyone wants to do that. I did kind of post a call up last year for it, but then life got in the way and it didn't really work out. I'm kind of thinking maybe that would work. I've ordered, again, some advents this year because I can't help myself. I'm obsessed with advents, like completely obsessed. So I've ordered a few more, again, this year. But I don't know. I'll figure something out. But I was thinking, maybe if we do a knit along, but it would be with my patterns, I would probably offer them for free for the first year, while essentially it's a year-long test knit. And there would be 5 different patterns. And then if no problems with them. I would release them as proper patterns for 2025, all 5 of them, and then yeah, then that would be proper patterns. So that's what I was thinking. Let me know what you think about that, if you want to join in with me or not. Okay, so the last project that I'm working on, the last advent project that I'm working on is this one here, and it is by the Fibre Fox. So it's this like golden light advent. It's absolutely stunning. It has some stellina in it. Let's see. So again, I put it into the color order, into that fade. This is where I'm up to next, and then it fades to this dark purple, and you can see the sparkles, the stellina. So this one, and it came with this bag, which I just thought was really pretty. So as mentioned, I'm completely obsessed with advent, like completely obsessed. And when I was in Paris, I was living in a ground floor apartment that was literally on the ground floor, and then it was concrete and then tile. And it was like negative something degrees and it was so cold. So I was in my friend's car and I was whining about how cold it is, which is hilarious because if anyone knows me here in Australia, they know that I hate summer and that I hate the heat, and I'm always about the cold, and I knit for goodness sakes, I want the cold. But I was so cold in Paris, and so I had to buy a heater, and I was kind of complaining about it, and I didn't have central heating in my apartment, so it was a lot. And my friend was like, just buy the damn thing, and I was like, okay. And so then I used that logic to buy the advents that I was putting off. So I did actually buy several advents. I love advents, and this one was a complete last minute, spur of the moment advent from the Fibre Fox. So it's 24 skeins, and it's in this like, I think it was like golden light or something like that. So what I did is I was trying to think about how I could use them in a shawl, but I didn't really want them to be individual. I wanted to be able to use them together. So I started marling them. So if you can see, maybe this is the best one to see it with. You can see the really clear stripes, and then this is the other side of it. So it's a bit more mild on this side, whereas it's clearly striped on this side. So the striped side is kind of the right side, but it doesn't really matter at all. And then I've got brioche, which is 2-color brioche, so it is 2 different shades. And then again, marling on the garter, and then going back into the brioche. So this is like the easiest shawl. I literally don't have to think about it. I just sit and knit on it. And this is going to be the last advent one. It's got an I-cord border. It is so easy and so simple. So this one I want to be something that I, you know, can really, I mean, that's 6 skeins down and I can already wrap it around myself. So I really wanted it to be something cozy. This would work really well, not for a rainbow, but for a fade or for a tonal advent. And so, yeah, I'm completely obsessed with it. And yeah, so if this is one that you would like, I haven't got a name for it either. But if you would like to help me knit any of these, like I said, 2025 is going to be the year of the knit along advents. And so let me know if there's any one that you want to do. If you want to do all of them, let me know. I'd love that. Okay. So these are, yeah, those are my advent patterns that I'm working on right now. The other patterns I'm working on, because you can never have enough, I have this one. And this is a top. I've called it Speckles and Bobbles. That's kind of the working title. I'm gonna rename it something else. This is, they're using little nups or noops, however you call them, little bubbles in the rainbow, and now I'm just in the stockinette portion where it's round and round and round. Because these are hand dyed, so these are by Stitchcraft and Wizardry, and I've got the like the other skeins, the nut skeins, and so these are hand dyed by Anna from Stitchcraft and Wizardry, and this is her Roald Dahl collection, and they've got stellina in them. In the these ones have stellina in them, and the main skein does not. The main colour does not. But because the main colour is variegated, is speckles, is, you know, is hand dyed, I didn't want to have clear banding when I'm changing from one hand dye to another. So I've decided to do this one as a helical knit. So helical knitting is really interesting, and it basically allows that you don't get a stripe, like a section. You integrate each section. So each round is almost one complete round of that one skein, and you stop 3 or 4 stitches before the next colour, like the next skein, and you slip the next 3 or 4, and then you start knitting with the next skein. And so you keep going around, and so it's almost a complete row minus 2 or 3 or 4 stitches. I usually do 3 or 4. And it just means that you've got this really seamless integration. There's no carrying at the back. There's absolutely none of that. It's seamless knitting with 2 skeins at the same time. And it means that there's no worries or no concerns for having banding or having 2 skeins not like being perfectly colour matched, because you're essentially fading them together the whole time. So I absolutely love it. I'm in the last bit. I've probably got another 6 inches to go on the body, and then I should be able to cast off. And yeah, it's almost done. So this is, I tutor on the side, and this is usually my tutoring knitting. So when I'm getting the kids to write whatever, I usually sit there and just knit next to them. And yeah, so I kind of resurrected this. It was lying dormant for a while. So I've resurrected this knit, and I've kept knitting on it. And the cool thing about it is that I've got basically almost full skeins. Oh, they're not sparkle. Maybe just one of them is. I think just one of them is. Anyway, I've got these cool skeins, almost full skeins, and they're fingering weight, and they're amazing colours together, and they remind me of a highlighter. So I've been fantasy knitting a blanket with these in my head. So this is going to be a blanket. It's a 6 skein blanket in my brain, and I have an idea for it, but I just need to make it work. So we'll see how that goes. But that needs to wait until the actual top is finished. The next thing I'm knitting on, because again, I've never done, is a baby top, a baby jumper. And this is for one of my good friends. She's had a baby a year ago, and I didn't make anything. Obviously I wasn't here a year ago. So now is my chance to make them something. And it's a little boy. So I've actually already made a jumper for her. So this, I need to obviously do the ends. This is Le Petite Marinière, or Marinière. So this is, oh, it smells like my perfume. This is a little baby jumper. It was free on Ravelry, I believe. Maybe it was like $2 on Ravelry. It's a really simple top-down raglan boys jumper with a kind of like a waffle stitch. So it's got a bit of a texture to it. I went rogue on the sleeves because I didn't read the instructions properly, and I don't really care. So on the sleeves, you weren't meant to have the texture. It was just meant to be plain stockinette, and you were only meant to do the stripes to a certain point and then leave it main colour. But I really like the stripes. I like how they look. And yeah, I finished this. This is actually, now don't tell anyone, this is actually my school knitting. So when I'm marking and I need something to distract my hands, when I'm reading ahead for class, sometimes when the class is watching YouTube videos, so I have 2 year 9s, 2 year 10s. So what I do is I watch the YouTube videos at home, make sure it's, you know, or in my planning time, and make sure it's a valuable learning. And then I have to watch it twice more in class. And there's only so many times you can watch a really boring YouTube video. So aside from the fact that I need a crowd control, I've actually got some pretty amazing classes this year. And so I have the ability to stand there and knit while the kids are watching YouTube videos. please don't make it sound like I do this all the time. I really don't. However, sometimes it's useful. I also have really strong anxiety. I should say that my medication has saved my life. And so I recommend if anyone is struggling with anxiety, talk to your doctor, or get a mental health plan, because medication really helps. But sometimes I need something else along with medication. Sometimes I just need something to fidget with. And so knitting, I usually have it around me. And so I've got this in my bag. So this one I've just finished. It has twisted stitches for the cuffs and collar. And it's a stripe. The yarns that I used are these two. So the bright blue, it's very bright. And then this kind of grey speckly yarn. Now, I don't actually love the yarn at all. So it is Panda Miracle 4-ply, 100% anti-pill acrylic. So I got it because of the anti-pill qualities, but knitting it up, I hate it. And honestly, like, it should not have taken me that long to make the jumper. It took me ages because I don't enjoy knitting this yarn. It's ugly, it's got black stripes in it, it's got this like weird brownie stripe, it's not nice. So I was halfway through and I was like, you know, I'm gonna finish it off, but I don't like it. So this is now waste yarn or scrap yarn or like figuring out ideas yarn. It is anti-pill, which is the reason that I bought it, because I wanted it to be something acrylic, easy to use, that my friend could chuck in the wash and it wouldn't matter. It's for a 1-year-old, so it doesn't, you know, it's not a big deal. But yeah, I just didn't really like it. I was looking through my stash of yarn. It's been amazing. Some people at school have actually wanted to knit. Some of the kids and some of the teachers have wanted to knit, and I'm really happy to teach them. And so I have like a whole stash of yarn in my desk at work, and I kept looking at these 4 yarns. So I don't know if I've got the 4th. No. I've got 3 here. So it's going to be this fade, and then I've got like a dark grey, almost like a blue grey. And so that's the fade that it's going to be. And I kept looking at them and thinking that would be the cutest baby jumper. And I kind of decided, screw it, I'm going to make it a cute baby jumper. So, because I didn't like that one, but I wanted to have something pretty for my friend's baby, so I decided to do it. So this one is Breathe or Breather. Hang on, let me get the information up. I should say, sorry. This is the Petite Marinière Moderne by Marie-Christine Levesque. So French, but it's an English pattern. And then this pattern is Breather by Lisa Chemery, and I found them both on Ravelry. So this is my new school knitting, and it's super cute, super easy, super portable, and I just walk around with it if I need to. It has, I'm saying again, I'm sorry. It's a raglan increase, and it has this really cool garter front panel that doesn't continue onto the back. I have slightly changed it, so it's got a rolled neck, which is in the pattern, which I love. I have slightly changed it though, because the original like kind of setup row, it was a pearl row all around, and I didn't like the way that it looked when I started knitting a little bit longer. On the back, I didn't like that pearl, so I took it back to the beginning and then started it again just with the pearl bumps in here. And there's also, I made sure to have the raglan side stitches increases a little bit more prominently, just a knit stitch rather than a garter stitch, just to make sure that it would pop out and be a bit more symmetrical all the way around. So I'm really, really, really happy with this. The kids keep commenting at school, keep being like, Miss, what is it? Who's it for? So it's been really fun. I do have another, actually 2 more things, one more thing about this. The stitch marker that I'm using, is a sheep knuckle, and I bought this while in Iceland, and the discussion that I had with the Icelandic seller, was that Icelandic sheep are incredible. They are some of the only sheep that basically don't need a shepherd. They just kind of do their own thing, and they, yeah, they're amazing. They can go off on their own and wander around, and then they know when it's time to come back, and they know where home is. And so it's this kind of this myth that Icelandic sheep always come home. And so they were talking about how if you've got this Icelandic sheep knuckle as a stitch marker, that you always know where to come home, you always know how to find home, you always know where home is. And I just thought it was so beautiful that I love knitting on it, especially for a gift for someone else. And also it's like quite hardcore, and the kids all freak out that I'm using bones in my knitting, which I think is really fun. The last thing that I'm knitting on is the field beret. So, sneak preview of another episode that I will talk about. I made the field pullover, sweater, whatever it is, when I was in Paris, and I'm obsessed with this. It's recycled silk, like 70% recycled silk or something, sweater, and then it was using these like sparkly stellina thread, and it's really interesting. So I made it, yeah, I made the sweater. I absolutely love it. I think it's beautiful. I wouldn't say it's the most flattering just because the way that this sits, it kind of hangs a bit funny. But I'll talk to you about that probably next episode when I actually go through everything. So I've made this sweater and I do really love it. Look at my floats. They're actually quite neat. I'm quite proud of myself. So I made that sweater, and so I bought the field beret because I thought it would be absolutely stunning. And I haven't cast it on for myself. I've actually cast it on for my friend who is the baby's mum. And it was her birthday on Friday, and I really wanted to celebrate her. A stitch marker's falling out. I really wanted to celebrate her and just do something nice for her. I'm going to knit one stitch so I don't lose where I'm at. Yeah, and so she's actually going to Europe at the end of the year with her family. And we've talked about Paris since we became friends in year 8. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to do something really sweet to give it to her. So this is an almost complete beret. It is using this giant skein, which is like mostly acrylic and then 20% mohair or something like that. But because it's going to be on her head and she's going over there in winter, I kind of figured like nice acrylic, fluffy, soft, but also warm, especially in winter in Europe. And I thought that would be really nice. So I've got the extra skein, the extra yarn here to be able to do the little tip of the beret, that little tab. And I'm almost up to the end. I think I got to row 57 out of 71 or something like that. So I'm almost there. I started this on Wednesday and I'm really proud of how far I've come. I actually cut my thumb really badly 2 weeks ago, and to the point where I had to go to hospital and I had to get stitches, and it was quite traumatic. And then I think it was like the Wednesday after that, we had a knit night with some friends from YouTube who are Australian knitting podcasters on Zoom, and I was like knitting with like a plastered thumb. Like it was like stitches everywhere. It was not very nice. So I started knitting this after I got my stitches out, but I'm really proud of myself actually for knitting so much, because I'm knitting a bit slower with my thumb. So this has been mostly monogamous knitting because I do want to get this done for my friend, but I think it is very cute. I'm really excited for it. I'm almost done, and full review, I probably wouldn't knit this pattern again. I forgot that the stitches, the grain stitches that you make, they're just a lot of effort, and you kind of have this cabling situation, and because it's on tiny yarn, tiny needles, and it's small circumference, it can be a little bit finicky and it just gets a bit frustrating. So I don't think I would make this again. However, I'm absolutely loving making it for my friend, and I know she will love it. So is it well worth it? Absolutely. Would I go through the effort again? Probably not. But to be honest, I don't have any other friends who are obsessed with Paris, and I wouldn't make it for myself. So it's kind of like a one-time effort, and it's worth it. Maybe I'd make another one for my mum, actually, because I love my mum. So those are what I'm working on, what I'm knitting on. The last thing to show is what I have made recently. So I've got 2 things to show you, and they're both gifts, even though I've technically got 3, but yeah. This one I need to actually weave in the ends. This is a beanie design that I made myself, and this is called Waiting for Winter. And it is for one of my friends. It's for her birthday. It's this vibrant hot pink that I got at Ginger Twist in, I want to say Edinburgh, but it could have been Glasgow. I know it was that sort of area. So it's a local shop specialty by Ginger Twist. And I think it's called something like Brighter Than Barbie, something like that. I'll put all the details underneath. And so my original Waiting for Winter, I believe, was a DK weight, and this is more of an Aran worsted. So I've actually updated the pattern, and I'm about to release it again on Ravelry, and I will put up the pictures. So it is, if you can see it, I hope you can see it. It starts with this ribbing down the bottom, and I didn't do too much ribbing, although you can do plenty more and then flip it up. And then it's got a garter panel and then a cable panel. And the cool thing about the cables is that they kind of form this braid or this heart kind of pattern. So there's, in the original, I think there is 6. Yeah, I think there's 6 cable panels. In this one, there's only 4 because it is worsted weight. It is thicker. And yeah, so I finished this one, and it's going to be given to my girl very soon. I just need to weave in the ends. I've been very slack at doing that, but it's an alpaca. I originally made it, actually originally used this yarn, so you can see it's a bit squiggly because I've already knit with it. So this original, I originally made it for like a knit beanie, just a ribbing beanie, when I was walking around Edinburgh, Glasgow, whichever place I was, and I originally made it for that. But the problem is that this is, I believe it's alpaca, and it basically has no elasticity to it. So I've had to knit it quite tight, but it just kind of flopped. It didn't have tension, it just was saggy, and it really didn't look good. So I was thinking about what to get for my girl, and I knew that this bright colour would just be so much fun for her. So, and she's got really dark features and dark hair, but I love this colour. I think it looks good on everyone. So I decided to redo the yarn, and I'm really happy because it doesn't have any elasticity. It means it's nice and tight, and it stays tight. It will loosen up over time, but I've made it, as you saw me putting it on, I've made it quite tight. So to loosen up a little bit, she's got a lot of hair, a lot more than I do. But I kind of figure that this would work really well. So that's one gift. And the other gift is quite big. This is the Migla shawl. So Migla is by Inessa Sang. She is a Latvian designer who lives in Australia, I believe. And we've had several chats on over Instagram. She's absolutely wonderful. We were going to meet in Latvia, actually. Unfortunately, our schedules just didn't quite work out. But she's just absolutely lovely. And Migla talks about like the early morning frost and early morning fog. And so it's this really cool kind of idea. So I started knitting this for my lecturer. So I've just finished off my master's. I graduated in May, and I'm so happy that I did. My master's was in linguistics, in teaching English as a second language, and I studied it from 2021 to the beginning of 2024. One main lecturer that I had there, her name is Beata, and she's basically my uni mum. She was exceptional, and I'm very relationship driven, to the point where you can tell if I don't have a relationship with my teachers, because I would get high 50s, low 60s, and if I had a relationship and liked the teacher, I would get low 80s. So I really liked my teacher, and I would work a lot harder for her than I would other people. And she just was so kind, so caring, and really went out of her way to keep me engaged and keep me focused, keep me on track. She was just exceptional. And so I knew I wanted to make her something. I knit everywhere. I was knitting in classes online. So I studied online the whole time, because I live in Perth, Western Australia, which is on the west coast, and I studied in Brisbane on the east coast. So you can't get to class easily. So I would be studying online. And I absolutely adored my teacher. And so I decided I was going to make her something. So she's actually Polish, and we talked a lot about knitting and a lot about being European and heritage and language and all these things. And she was so supportive of me while I was in Europe and studying and teaching. So I started thinking about what I was going to make for her, and I saw this shawl, and the original shawl, you've got, I think it finishes about here. The original shawl is not too big, and it's got these really cool lace panels, and yeah, I just thought it was stunning. So I started making it for her, and I was using, this is all I've got left, but I'm using a few skeins by, the name has evaded me, but I will put it underneath because it is important. This dyer is Australian, and she lives near Brisbane. So she moved near Brisbane. I think she used to live near me, and then in Perth or WA, and then she moved over to Brisbane. Not Brisbane's proper, like Queensland, I should say. She moved to Queensland. And so it being Australian, it being kind of near me, and then Queensland, I thought that was really important. And then using a designer that was from my home country, or my ancestral country, I should say, not my home country, I'm Aussie. I really thought that was something to share, something to honor. Anyway, so I was ready for it to be done when I got to here, and then I met her. So I met my lecturer, and I realised that she doesn't need a shawl. Number one, it's Queensland. No one really wears shawls in Queensland, it's hot. But number two, she's a little bit older. She's probably closer to retirement age. Not yet, don't get excited, but she's getting closer. And I thought, and she's had a few health issues lately. And I thought that instead of making a shawl, I would make her a blanket. So I continued knitting, another whole repeat, and then I got to the edging row, and I did a little bit more for the edging. I was honestly so scared. I was playing yarn chicken the whole time. As you can see, that would probably take me maybe 2 more rows maximum. But it's now this absolutely beautiful big blanket that she can wrap herself up in or have as a lap blanket. So it's nice, and there's quite a bit there. It's nice and cozy, definitely made with love. And yeah, I just thought it would be really comfortable for her. I do need to block it, and I'm trying to figure out where I can block it because we just don't have a lot of space in my house. And the other option is putting it on the bed and like pinning it to the bed, which I don't really want to do. So I've got to figure out how to block it. Either that or I just fold it in half and block it half, but that's a bit annoying. But this is my amended Miegler blanket that is going to be a gift for my lecturer that I need to send out when I've blocked it. But that's everything I've knit lately. So my voice is going to go soon. I can feel it disappearing a little bit, but it's been so lovely to come back and talk to you. Next time I come on, I'm going to be talking to you about what I made in Europe and maybe some of my adventures. If there's anything you'd like to know, maybe ask down any questions down the bottom. If you'd like to know about my trips, any stories. I don't really know what you would like me to tell you about, so I can tell you like an overview. But yeah, if you've got any questions, let me know down the bottom. And if you're interested in my 2025 year of advents, please let me know, and I'll start writing them up and getting them tech edited for you. Most of them won't be too difficult, but sorry, 2 of them are very easy. They're beginner friendly completely, and then 3 of them are probably a little bit more intermediate. There is one that is twisted rib, and I know that's not for everyone, so if your hands are easily hurt, please don't do that one because it will hurt. But yeah, let me know what you think. Okay, that's it from me, and I will see you soon.